So, what have you come up with? Because I understood that you have a novel approach to coding and marking.
Yes, that's correct. But in Focal, we have a revolutionary new type of laser technology at our disposal. And the idea came from one of the technology providers from Excel. And I can explain in detail what the technology is, but I think you'd be much more interested in the application of it. So let
Hmm.
me get started with just the market that we chose to focus on because of the impact that we can have there, the marking industry. And what I always do is I use Coca-Cola as an example. So every day, Coca-Cola sells 1.8 billion bottles of cola. And all these bottles have an expiration date, which is printed on with ink on each and every bottle. Now, as a result, roughly 160 million liters of ink end up as pollutant in the environment. And the cartridges for this ink end up as landfill. And the carbon footprint of the production facility is quite huge due to the transport of this ink to and from this production facility. Now, the equipment itself also needs constant cleaning and maintenance, which heavily impacts the uptime of a production facility. For Coca-Cola, image was key, and being sustainable has always been one of their priorities. That's why they were investigating if they could change from inkjet to a new technology, and they looked into laser as an alternative. However, only Coca-Cola is one of the few production facilities currently doing this. And that is because compared to inkjet, laser marking is just not fast enough. Lasers can only work on surfaces in which they are completely in focus on that surface. So it gives you a very small range and it only is one beam compared to the multiple channels that inkjet can provide. This is where our unique technology comes into play. We invented a revolutionary new kind of laser printer, capable of not only matching but actually even outperforming the current state-of-the-art inkjet technology. This technology is based on a groundbreaking optical principle. And as an example, here you can see how a normal laser beam looks like. Normal laser beams have a so-called Gaussian beam profile. With
Hmm.
our unique technology, we are capable of changing this beam into what we call a concentric laser beam. And this unique laser beam has a major advantage over a normal laser beam. And that is compared to a normal laser beam, we can offer a focal depth which is over 400 times larger. Think, for instance, of a magnifying glass. If you use a magnifying glass to hit a piece of paper, only if you're exactly in the focus point of that magnifying glass will you see the effect. If you move the piece of paper even as little as 0.1 millimeter, it will lose its focus and you will no longer be able to heat the surface of that paper. With our technology, we can improve that range by a factor 400, meaning we can move it over a distance of several centimeters without it losing actual focus. Now, because of this longer focus range, we can actually start printing processes in production facilities a lot earlier, and we can continue a lot longer, since the window in which that beam is then in focus became a lot bigger. So therefore, we can actually print at much higher speeds and bigger surface, even compared to the current state-of-the-art inkjet technologies.
But this is really interesting. I assume that you've made a proof of concept. So you've tested and verified all of that.
Yes, when we first heard about this technology, we also thought this sounds actually too good to be true. So before we took their word for it, we decided let's do some simulations of our own and also look into experimenting. So we were able to build the first setup, which showcased that our technology is actually working. So we started with the simulations. We did some experiments to see if we can generate this concentric laser beam. And when we were able to do that, we started building the first setup and started marking surfaces with a longer focus range. We actually have a few videos that show that even if you move a curved surface into the direction of the beam over a distance of several centimeters, we can continue the printing process without it losing any focus.
Wow, that really looks amazing. So this also means then that you can have various distances, and yeah, it will just stay in focus.
Exactly. The technology itself is independent of the distance. So with normal lasers, you can already have a certain distance for the printing process. And we are flexible in that sense with what we can do with our technology. We don't need to be close to the surface to mark it, and we can even have a different distance and continue that marking process. Next to the technology no longer needing a consumable like ink, there are other benefits as well. Compared to inkjet, laser marking is a lasting technology. What we have seen, we talked to a lot of different production facilities, and they all complained of the same thing, and that is every once in a while a certain shipment gets rejected because the quality of the expiration date is so bad that it's no longer readable. And there are several different options and reasons for that. The easiest ones are items like the humidity in the production facility, or the storage warehouse where the product is being stored, or the temperature, which has a lot of impact as well. But one of the easiest examples that I can give is actually the way that that ink on the surface is capable of reacting with human skin. If you can just take a piece of plastic that you have in your refrigerator with some food being stored in it, which has an expiration date printed on it, that specific ink is very sensitive to the oil in human skin. If you can just use your own finger and rub your forehead or your nose, you can remove the entire expiration date in a matter of seconds. This quality level is something that a lot of production facilities are looking into to change, because this, as you can imagine, is quite harmful to them. It makes it difficult to trace their shipments. It makes it difficult to contain the level of quality that they provided with in the beginning. Um, yeah.
Yeah, so if I look at this, then it brings a lot of advantages for coding and marking. So it stays in focus. It's much faster. There's a precision to it, so you get rid of a lot of pollution in that supply chain. You said you are a startup. The proof of concept has been running. So is this already a ready to market product?
We're going there. We have set up the first R&D pilot with a company in Brazil, where we will
Mhm.
build our first technology. And with that proof of principle in that production facility, we can showcase to other facilities that we have a technology and a system ready to operate in a production relevant environment. The goal is to have a few sales this year. We are
Mhm.
currently developing our first alpha tooling for that. By the end of this year, we should be able to provide companies with a first full beta prototype to implement in their production facilities.
Okay. So, as a company, are you looking for something specifically? Do you search for partners, or do you want to go into, let's say, sampling and trialing for people in this industry?
Currently, as you mentioned, indeed, we are a startup. We are looking for collaboration. We think we have a technology that can potentially be a game changer in the marking industry. We're looking for partners that will help us to develop that technology to the next level, to be able to build the first set of systems and to make production facilities more durable and more sustainable, and making the environment a bit more friendly. So
Okay.
any company interested in joining us and helping us to develop this technology, I would be very welcome to talk to them.
Okay.